Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where professionals in the field inform, educate and inspire the community to be healthier, more balanced and live the lifestyle they love. Today's guest is Heather Bell-Murphy, a health, life and love coach, and our topic is What I Learned from Love. Welcome to the show, Heather, and tell me, what did you learn from love?
Lots of great stuff, Kirsty. I've been in loving relationships for a long time now, including some pretty significant ones. My biggest skill that I've learned, that I think I can say that I've learned, over my past sort of 35 years of actual adulthood, is emotional balance. What I see with clients, and I've actually come from an experience of being somebody who was highly oversensitive at one stage, suffered with, anxiety, depression, those sorts of things. And being emotionally balanced no longer means that I'm on that seesaw emotional roller coaster of being, when I'm up, and everything's great. When I'm down, I'm down. And when I'm down, I would need to do something to get up, to escape that uncomfortable, bumpy feeling. So, for women, that commonly looks like doing things like eating the wrong things, overconsumption of food, having unhealthy relationships with things like TV or alcohol, or even just developing unhealthy relationships with things like, I shouldn't say things, but, we'd say their children, for example, where they're just overly living out a life through someone else. So that sense of being in our beingness and being in balance is a really important thing. The other really important thing is whether we're in a relationship, intimate other, with the person of the opposite sex, or even an intimate relationship with same sex, and even if that is with a sister or another relative, say, for example, someone is most likely to carry the masculine energy in the relationship, and someone is most likely to carry the feminine energy in the relationship. Now, the issue with that is that, especially if it comes to being in a relationship with your significant other, men are going to feel much more comfortable expressing their feelings, or another great expression for it is crashing the boat of their heart on your island and wanting to stay with you if you're really emotionally comfortable. Particularly if you're emotionally comfortable, during bumpy, potentially volatile times. So that's a really important thing.
Could you please explain a little more about masculine and feminine energy for us?
I'd love to, especially as we know that there's a lot of gender and role confusion going on in society at the moment. So clients commonly come to me, and there can be a confusion in their relationship, especially where some girls now may be in a situation where or some women may be in a situation where they're earning more than their partner. Or you might have a same-sex couple where one person is, significantly, obviously, the breadwinner in the household. What I'm finding in relationships now, sometimes in same-sex couples, generally with women, or in heterosexual couples, it's like two people are both trying to wear the pants in the one household, and that doesn't work. So being the masculine, sometimes people mistake carrying the masculine energy in the relationship as being controlling or dominating, and that's not actually where it's at. It's actually more of a protective role. You'll often get one person is more of the protector. Now, in my relationship, it is definitely my partner. He fits that male protector, breadwinner figure particularly well, and I'm definitely much more the nurturer. He's nurturing as well, but of course it's part of that dance that we do. He nurtures me in other ways, but I tend to definitely be the feminine energy, the nurturing, the receiver. I'm definitely the feminine receptor in the relationship.
And have you got any tips for our viewers?
Absolutely. Emotional balance is essential. I call it emotional landscaping with clients and emotional processing. And you know, we're very, very lucky that as women, being in touch with lunar cycle, because we're 60% water, it's a great time to follow the phases of the moon, being in dark moon or being in full moon, when we know that it's time to, so cleaning the house and cleaning out the shoe cupboard and being organised at that time, it's a great time to utilise that energy doing those kinds of things. And then being in full moon, that's more of a doing time. So that's the time when you can, you know, a great time to be more into exercising or to be into making changes and fulfilling change, whether that is changing your direction in your career and having a plan around that, or changing, you know, your eating regimen, for example, upscaling it or whatever, you know, or you know, you might change your physical regimen. How am I going to exercise? How is that going to change? So full moon is a great time, more of a doing energy, compared to dark moon is much more of a time for planning, cleansing.
Well, thank you so much, Heather. That was wonderful. If anyone wants any more information on Heather Bell Murphy or on what she learnt from love, please look up her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break with another fantastic guest and a very interesting story.
Stay tuned. After the break, the integrative health and wellness expert, Dr Zara Celik, is talking about mindfulness. Welcome back. And next we have Dr Zara Celik, our integrative health and wellness expert. And she's back with us today to talk about mindfulness. So Dr Zara, mindfulness is a huge topic.
Huge one at the moment globally, right? It's like a trending word, like, you know, so we had the self-care, which I talked about, and now mindful is another one, buzzing one, which I love to touch on to them, bring some, you know, put my input into it. And we all have different perceptions and different reflective awareness about mindfulness. So I love to educate our audience and give my perspective on that. So it's overly used, as we all know, but not many people actually know what it exactly means. In fact, I was just talking to one of the young university students, and she knew I was doing a podcast and with somebody else, and then she asked me how it went, and it somehow led to this mindfulness. So I was so intrigued to find out really her perspective and what it meant for her in terms of being mindful. And I sort of got to understand and see what universities were teaching and where the students were at. So I thought, you know what, it'll be great to sort of bring a bit of light onto this topic. So mindfulness is when the mind is completely balanced. If you think of like an algebra maths equation going back to our, you know, early high school, sort of late primary school years, where this one side of the equation equals to the other side of the equation. And that's exactly is what mindfulness is in the mind. So we have two minds. That we have the immanent mind, and then we have the transcendent mind. Immanent mind is the amygdala. Transcendent mind is the prefrontal cortex. So it's, I know a bit of neuroscience there. That's okay, but I'm going to explain it more. So when we are in amygdala, we are in fight, flight, freeze. So when we are self-judging, self-critical, or judging other people, or we are living in, you know, the trauma, or we have a lot of neuroassociation pattern, we relate to things our past or event took place, we stay at the immanent mind. And we are going to be at fight, flight, freeze. So then that makes the mind unbalanced because we are spending a lot of time in the amygdala, which is the immanent mind. But I like people to be also aware of and become objective and authentic by by becoming aware of the transcendent mind, which is the prefrontal cortex, which is the executive center of the brain. At that brain, when we are at prefrontal cortex, when we are objective, we become authentic, we become creative. So when we are critical or we have body dysmorphic things, which we talked about as well previously, we spend more time focusing on what is not right, rather than seeing objectively what it is there for us, and it is happening for us, not to us. When we become aware of the other side of the equation, we go into that transcendent mind. We become objective. We have reflective awareness. So we are not self-critical. We are seeing things as they are. We're not resenting others. We are not infatuated with other people. We're not admiring them and putting them up here, because we're becoming reflective, and we're aware of the things that we see in them is also in us. So that will make us more objective, and we have the reflective awareness. I hope I'm not confusing here. I know I'm talking neuroscience, I've got a lot of things going on, but I'm going to explain it more.
So is this with things like, we talked earlier about overthinking, how that can take over?
Correct. So even overthinking, when we're overthinking, overjudging, criticizing, I'm not good enough, I'm not fit enough, I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not rich enough, I don't have the education, the whole, trying to, having the fear, the mind becomes imbalanced. So you're not mindful, you're half mindful, because you're focusing on one side of things and you're not seeing the other things, or you're focusing on one side of you, and you're not aware of the other side of you. You're with me there. So that creates the imbalance. Or when we're resenting people, we see all the bad things that they did and how it disadvantaged us, right? But we don't get to see how that person also served us. The minute we see the other side of how that person served us, in the case of resentment, that makes us mindful. In the case of infatuation, when you're admiring somebody, for example, oh, they're so beautiful, they're so fit, they're gorgeous, we have this fantasy, right? That makes us one-sided, so that's half mindful. But the minute we also see it in our form, hey, I've also been fit, I'm also fit in this form, I'm intelligent also, or I'm also wealthy, and I've actually displayed and demonstrated in these sort of situations, and I see it as in me, it's part of me, that makes you again mindful. So the equation is balanced. And that's why I say think of it as a mathematical model, bit of like an algebra. This side of the equation equals this side of the equation. So when you are aware of only one side of events, you are half mindful. But when you're aware of both sides, you are mindful completely. And that's the thing that actually, when I talk to people, they meditate, try to be mindful, and it's overly used, right? We try to become mindful, and we're meditating, and we're investing in ourselves, and it's nice bit of cultural movement globally. People are trying to be mindful, have mindful eating, mindful thinking, mindful language. But if you're not mindful of what's happening within you, then you're not going to be fully mindful. You're half mindful.
So it's like that confusion then that takes over when the confusion, we're not balanced in the mind.
Yeah, so when you're confused, you're not balanced in the mind. So when you're fully aware and you've got reflective awareness and you become objective, then you're authentic yourself. You see, whatever is in other people is actually in you. There's nothing missing, and there's that equity and balance and equanimity within you. Then you are fully mindful, and the biochemistry of the mind is balanced. Because the minute that you're actually critical, the biochemistry shifts. The biochemistry of the mind shifts. The biochemistry of the brain shifts. The biochemistry of the body shifts. But when we are mindful, there's a balance, and that balance within is called equanimity. That's what homeostasis basically.
What would be your top hint for our viewers? Something they can take away today, just for themselves to.
So become aware of the language that you're using, and see if you are present with yourself. But if you're even struggling with that, see what your mind is doing. Are you focusing only one thing? Are you, for example, judging or criticizing yourself about maybe an event happened during the day? If you are, catch yourself, stop and pause, and see what it is actually there, and find the opposite of it. So, for example, if you're resenting somebody, say, well, okay, what am I resenting them? What am I exactly resenting them for? and then see the benefit of that action, inaction, or the trait that you're resenting the individual for, and see how that is also serving you, the benefit of that to you. So then you balance that out. If it is an infatuation, you admire somebody, find it in your own form. Then once you find that, that's also balance. If you're judging somebody else, same thing applies. What are you exactly judging them for? How is it a disadvantage to you when you're judging them? Not just the advantage. So then you balance it there too. So try to find balance, but become aware of your language pattern and the language and the words that you use, and see if you can get on to asking yourself the questions to balance the mind.
Well, thank you very much for that. And for more information on Dr. Zara Celik and mindfulness, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And now for break. We'll see you after the break. Stay tuned. After the break, holistic health coach Steve Hall is talking about Know Yourself. Next we have Steve Hall, our holistic change coach, and he's back with us today talking about knowing yourself. So Steve, why is that important to know yourself?
Thanks, Linda. It's a great question, and I've delved into this a lot over the last couple of years. And why it's important for us to know ourselves is we believe we know ourselves as we go through life. And our beliefs are something that we trust and rely on, so we really think we know ourselves. And what I've learned that really surprised myself, what I needed to find out as well, because it was such a game changer in my life, is there's so much about myself that is in my unconscious or your subconscious that I had no idea about whatsoever, which influenced what I did, it influenced the results I was getting, it influenced how I was feeling about life, whether I was happy, whether I felt like I was in control, whether I felt like I was doing what I wanted to do in life. All these things I never really considered at a deep level. And so knowing myself was so important to me. I think it was Socrates said it originally, know thyself. And it's been mentioned all through history by philosophers up until now, because it is so important that we truly understand what's going on in our subconscious and our conscious, and that they align and take us to where we want to go.
So what does it actually mean then? What does knowing yourself mean?
Yeah, well, this is even deeper. Because what does that look like? Sometimes we think we know ourselves, but what we're understanding is what we believe is true about ourselves, and quite often it's just what we've gotten used to. It's our habit of knowing ourselves. It's what everyone else tells us we're like as well. And in life we can spend a lot of time and energy wondering and worrying what other people think of us, and we try and shape our life in a way that people won't do that. And so sometimes we even end up trying to hide. I think it was Thoreau said that a vast majority of people live their life in quiet desperation because they're never really knowing themselves. You know, they're living lives according to other people and they're not happy. And it's so important that we can dig down to truly understand who we are, you know, and what really lights us up, what brings out the best in us, and what are we here for? You know, what's our purpose? A lot of the time we can get hung up living other people's lives and thinking that's our purpose. But when you really know yourself, you understand why you're here and what you've got to do, which is a whole different feeling.
I suppose we have lots of spoken about now about heart-mind connection. So that brings us more into our feeling space.
Very, very much. And that's when you start feeling that you're getting close to understanding more about yourself. That's when you start wondering about your feelings and your emotions, because here's the good thing about our feelings and our emotions is they're like a warning, or not really a warning system, but a signal system to us. They tell us when we're not happy, when we're not aligned, when we're not living according to our purpose or understanding ourselves. They show up in our feelings. You know, if you're not happy, Linda, if you're not feeling fulfilled, if you're feeling overwhelmed, and all these things that plague us a lot through our lives, these are all our emotions telling us. They're saying, hey, you're not happy. You're not really aligned. You're not digging into who you really are. So take a look, learn to understand who we are, and then take some action to change. And really, when you understand who you are and what core values you hold in your heart and what you really want to achieve, it's sort of the alignment takes care of itself. You start really getting energized to do what it is that turns you on, you know, and it brings meaning to your life. You get out of bed with a sense of purpose, and that's adds meaning to your life. It's the best thing you can do. It's a real game changer.
So the feeling space is is that what you've, is it like working out the difference in the feelings? Does that make a difference?
Well, it's understanding. The best thing you can do is whenever you're feeling an emotion, especially if it's one that you wish wasn't there, for example, sadness or jealousy or anger, sometimes we wish them away. Oh, we don't want to experience them, but it's the opposite. Instead of wishing them away, it's like understanding what it is. So first you put a name to it. I'm feeling fear at the moment. Why? Welcome in, and you welcome that feeling. So you own it. You go, this is me sending myself a message. So you welcome the feeling in, and you try and understand it. In a moment of meditation or just with your eyes closed, you can ask that emotion, what are you trying to tell me? What are you here for? What's your message? And if you can just relax and allow it to be there, it's quite strange, but all of a sudden you start getting and understanding why it's there. And then you start seeing what it's trying to tell you. It's not trying to control your life, it's just giving you a message. When you listen, the feeling disappears and leaves you with an understanding. Now I understand why it's there. And all of a sudden you start understanding what I need to do so it doesn't keep reminding me that I'm doing something like that. And it starts helping you to take control of your life, to get that alignment I was talking about before. And alignment really is just when we understand what our values are and what our purpose in life is, it's getting an alignment between those two so that our values point us towards what we ultimately want to achieve. And that's all the alignment is. It just means you're going in one direction, everything, all your energy supports you to get to where you want to go. And no longer are you shedding energy left, right and centre in areas that are not going to come back and support you, you know. So the alignment and knowing ourselves and feeling your feelings, they're all very important, so important.
And so what would your best advice be for our viewers?
Yeah, look, I've got 3 tips for people who are wondering now after listening to what we've been talking about. And that would be, 3 questions you can ask yourself. What am I here for? What am I really here for on this planet? You know, we each bring something unique. And do you understand what it is about you that is different or special? What is it about you that the world hasn't seen yet? Or maybe even yourself that you haven't really expressed. You know there's more to you, but you don't know what it is. That's question 1. Question 2 would be, what are you most passionate about? Start writing them down. What is it that lights you up? It can be as simple as fun, it can be love, it can be connection, whatever. Just start writing down. Every time you notice something that you really love and you used to love when you were a child, start writing them down and understanding why they're there and include them back in your life. Quite often we put those things to one side. And the third one would be figure out how to apply both these things in your life. Just be more consciously aware of them and ask myself at the end of every day, what am I proud of that I did today and what made me smile? And you go to sleep with that. So when you wake up in the morning, you've got an intention to set. It's like, I'm going to do more of that today. and they're the 3 things.
Thanks so much, Steve, for that.
Welcome, Linda.
And for more information on knowing yourself and Steve Hall, then please go to his webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And for now, we'll say goodbye until next week.
If you would like to know more about our show, please like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.